Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another Warframe video, where today we are jumping back into Eidolons. And before you get excited, no, this is not the second part to the two-player guide for Eidolon hunting. I do want to get that video out soon, but it's very difficult finding the time to get on at the same time as the person I'm doing it with. So yeah, there's just been a lot of complications, a lot of things going on, and I just haven't got around to doing it yet. But I am still planning to do it. It's on my list of things to do. It's just finding the right moment to do it. But today, considering that Duviri has now released and a few new bits and pieces have come into the game, I thought we would go ahead and just take a look at my current build. It has changed a bit since my endgame Eidolon hunting guide. So I'm just going to run through everything that I've kind of updated, and then we'll do a single run through on the plains of Eidolons, a single hunt. And yeah, you guys can see it in action and hopefully understand why I've, taken what I've taken. Besides the fact that I have changed the aesthetics of my vault quite a bit now, because in my Warframe Done Efficiently series, we have now reached the point where I am content using some platinum and some money to buy aesthetics and make my character look nice now. So yeah, that's fun. But let's just quickly run through the Archon shards here. So we now have 3 Tau-Forged Crimsons, all on ability strength. This is probably a bit overkill. You could get away with maybe 2 just normal ones. Or 3 normal ones. You don't need Tau-Forged at all. And then we've got an Amber shard here on casting speed, as well as an Azure Archon shard for armor, for a bit of extra endurance. If you do not have access to an Azure Archon shard here, or perhaps, you don't have a Tau-Forged one, Amber one, I would recommend maybe running 2 Ambers here, in order to get some additional casting speed. 50% casting speed is quite nice, but if you do have a Tau-Forged Amber, 37.5% casting speed works out just fine. So, yep, 5 Tau-Forged now on our vault. He is completely ready to go. So let's take a look at the build. Not much has changed here since the endgame build. We have the 3 Umbral mods on here for that Tau resistance up at 47.3%. We also have Vig Swap on still, as well as Shock Trooper for extra damage, and I have Eclipse still on my 4th ability for the extra damage. But I have replaced Energize with Molt Vigor, and I have replaced Blind Rage, with Transient Fortitude. So you can see my efficiency has gone up to 100% now, but my strength is down at 277%. But that's going to be made up for by Molt Vigor, which, as you can see, provides us an extra 45% ability strength on next Warframe ability cast. And we're going to be using a lot of operator abilities during the hunt, so the chances are we're going to have this active most of the time. So yeah, that's what we're running with. I don't think there's anything else really to shout about on this build. The Zenith is exactly the same as it was before. Same Riven mod, it hasn't been rerolled anymore. It's just crit damage and multi-shot with negative damage to Grineer. And then on our Knell Prime, again, nothing's been rerolled here, just crit chance, crit damage Riven, alongside Heated Charge normal. If you do want to add another former to this build, you can fit on Primed Heated Charge, but to be honest, it does enough damage just like this, so you don't really need it. But, if you do want to get that peak damage off of the Knell Prime, then Primed Heated Charge, always a good shout. And if you wanted to go even further, you could put one more former on and then fit on something like, I don't know, there's not really much that you want to put on here, to be honest. Steady Hands, maybe, but you need to then former this slot again. So, yeah. Never mind. And then on the Vastilok here, I've got my Config B on. Config A for the 2-man group, where you've got a Shattering Impact at rank 3, which allows you to perfect strip the Eidolon. But since we are running solo on this guide, we are going to be just going full attack speed and full Shattering Impact to strip the Eidolon's armor as fast as possible, as our build does enough damage to one-shot limbs either way. I get quite a lot of questions about this as to whether or not it's better to fully strip the Eidolon or not. If you want to do more damage to the Eidolon, then it's best to keep the Eidolon's armor at about 1%, as low as possible, because then you get that radiation damage bonus from your Zenith and from your Knell, and yeah, you just do more damage. But if your build does have enough damage to one-shot the limbs and to one-shot the Eidolon itself, when the Eidolon is fully armor stripped, then it's just worth doing that every time, because it's way easier to do, it's way faster to do. You don't have to worry about, when you're weapon swapping, accidentally clipping the Eidolon with your Vastilok, and yeah, it just makes life a lot easier knowing that you can do that. So that's the reason that I'm running the full strip build, is because I can one-shot the limbs and the Eidolon with the armor fully stripped, and it's easier to do that. So yeah, that's the main reason. A lot of people also ask me why I run Vastilok, and the reason I run Vastilok is because of its multi-shot. So although the impact is a bit low here, you know, it's got a bit more slash and puncture, it has large multi-shot on its gunfire, right? So you can see here, projectiles 9, it fires 9 projectiles, and a certain number of those are going to be impact procs, and they're going to strip the armor by 6 each. So it actually does come down to a faster armor strip than, you know, the Sarpa or the Stropher, I think someone said as well. It's a lot faster because you're firing 9 pellets. You're not just firing, you know, 1 or 2 or whatever. So yeah, that's the reason that we are running the Vastilok. And then Maduroi, obviously, still for that sweet, sweet Void Strike, and also Phoenix Talons and Distilled Contamination, Contamination Wave, Power Transfer, all of that good stuff. Everything unbound here. Make sure to get all these unbound as a priority, really. You want to, if you're going into Eidolon hunts, like I always say, Maduroi is the tree to go down. But you do want to spend some time focusing up some of the other skill trees and getting them unbound, just so that you obviously have increased operator health and armor, you have increased operator regen, energy, all that good stuff. So yeah, make sure to get that done. And then if we take a look at our Parazon, we now have ourselves Untraceable for invisibility after hacking, runtime for that sweet sprint speed after hacking, which is going to improve our Archwing flight speed, auto breach for the plus 30% chance to complete hacking. And then on our Sentinel here, we have Wyrm Prime now with Negate, which is going to prevent status effects from applying to its owner once every 5 seconds. This rarely comes in useful, but occasionally if you get hit by perhaps another Grineer in the Plains of Eidolon who applies a bleed status proc, or even the Eidolon or a Vonvalist applies a bleed status proc to you, then this can actually really help in terms of survivability. I don't even have an Orokin Catalyst on here, so, you know, it's not an expensive build at all. As long as the, you know, the Wyrm Prime can stay alive for sort of either Terry and Gant and maybe a bit of Hydrolyst, you should be just fine. And if you've got primed regen, I haven't maxed mine out yet, but if you've got primed regen, then obviously you can stick that there instead. And yeah, the Volt Clock doesn't really matter, but if you wanted to put Vig Armaments and, you know, Vig Offensive on here, then by all means do so. It's going to improve your chances of hitting a critical hit or an enhanced critical hit on your primary. Gear-wise, we are running energy restores. I do have loads of these now because I'm at the end game and I can afford to use them, so that's nice. We're also going to be using our Necromech Summon, our Archwing Launcher, our On-Call Crewmate, and also Ciphers. I'm going to be using Ciphers on every single lure now because I can afford to do so. And then on our Archwing right here, I'm using Itzal still. Haven't changed this at all since the last video. System reroute still not maxed out, but as long as you have Hyperion Thrusters, bit of a range, Cold Snap, Argon Plating, and some, you know, durability, just generally, you should be just fine. And then, yeah, nothing else particularly matters on here. So let's just quickly go ahead, take a look at our operator. So equipment-wise here, we have a 177. This is comprised of, if the game loads it properly, a Proper Scaffold, Certus Brace, and Replac Prism. Now, someone did ask me the other day, actually, how best to farm up the standing for Little Duck, where you buy the Certus Brace and the Proper Scaffold. And in my opinion, kind of the best way to do it would be to probably farm up, what are they called? You get them on the Narma Isoplast, that's what they're called. So you can farm those up on Cetus once you've completed the new war quest. They're much easier than farming up, you know, the Toroids from either the Profit Taker or the Exploiter Orb, especially if you don't have a squad to do it with. If you can, and if you are able to do the Profit Taker quickly and efficiently, then I would recommend farming up using the Profit Taker. But, you know, unless you're able to do Profit Taker in sort of under 3 minutes, then I would just go ahead and just farm Narma Isoplasts on Narma Bounties on Cetus, or Fortuna, whichever you prefer. So yeah, 177 amp. We've then got Magus Mill on for some extra heat damage on our amp. Not strictly speaking necessary. As long as your weapon is able to one-shot limbs, you don't need this at all. And then we've got Magus Elevate for increased health restore when we transfer back into our Warframe. This is going to be keeping us alive. And then on our amp here, we've got Eternal Eradicate for plus 60% damage to amps on operator ability. And then another 180% crit chance when our energy gets depleted on our operator. So those are the two factors that we are taking into account when taking down the shield of the Eidolon. First of all, we want to make sure that we use an operator ability, and second of all, we want to make sure that we drain our energy pool so that when we fire our Proper or our Replac, we're guaranteed a critical chance hit, a critical hit, not critical chance hit, and also we're going to get that extra damage off on our amp from Eternal Eradicate. So both very important to note. And yeah, guys, that's kind of what I wanted to cover in terms of the build. But just before we get into an example run, I do want to point out a couple more things. So let's head over here and just quickly pop down to Duviri. Alright guys, so for those of you who have begun the Duviri experience, you will know that there are operator intrinsics now. Now, one of these in particular is going to be very useful for hunting Eidolons, and that is in the combat tree. If you go into the combat tree and you head towards the bottom, you will see that at rank 9, the Drifter deals plus 25% damage. In the Origin system, both Drifter and Operator receive this boost. So this is essentially going to provide our amps an additional 25% damage against the Eidolon's shields, which is really, really, really useful. In fact, this is just as useful as having the damage blessing that you once got, or not once got, but you can get if you are rank 30 from the relays. Now, you can still do that damage blessing, and in fact now guarantee yourself an instant Hydrolyst shield takedown in solo. Before, there was the odd occasion where you might not get an instant Hydrolyst shield takedown, even if you had the damage blessing from a relay, but now, with both of these, you can indeed guarantee yourself a kill, an instant limb takedown. So, yeah, that's a very, very important thing to note, is that with the release of Duviri, Muscle Mass, rank 9 on combat, something that you perhaps want to be aiming for if you are looking to get into Eidolon hunts. It will help you out quite a bit. So yeah, without further ado guys, let's hop into the plains, do one quick run through. I will kind of speak, I'm not going to commentate over the top of the run, but I will talk as I'm playing it. So hopefully, yeah, it'll give you an idea of what's going on. I do want to point out at this juncture right here that I do have a number of other Eidolon guide videos on amp timing, on lure gathering, on lure fast charging. All of that stuff is covered in my other videos. This is simply a video to update you guys on, you know, how Duviri has affected Eidolon hunting. And yeah, that's basically it. And just before I pass on here, loads of stuff to do, I do want to quickly just scroll through everything here. Now, I want to point out one thing in my settings, which is that the graphics engine here is currently on classic. When I am doing Eidolon hunts, this will be set to enhanced, and there is a reason for that, and that is that since Duviri, the classic engine, when loading in and out of the plains of Eidolon, actually stutters quite a bit and can affect your entry. And on the enhanced engine, for whatever reason, this might just be me, I don't know, on the enhanced engine this doesn't happen, and you get a cleaner entry into the plains, and you can do the fast charge a bit easier. So that is definitely something to note. So yeah. Otherwise, everything else here is, you know, as is. A lot of people ask me about my graphic settings on stream and stuff, so I thought I'd just quickly scroll through here, and if you guys want to have a look in a bit more detail, you can obviously pause the video. But otherwise, let's just get on with the hunt, guys, so I'll catch you in a second. Alright, guys, so we're going to start by doing our usual fast charge method on East Camp. There we go. Make sure to take out any pesky Eximus units nice and early on. Make sure you clear the camp, then you get yourselves your second set of Omvalists. Come over, fully strip the Eidolon. Make sure we're in semi-auto mode. Use Void Strike. Bit early on the Replac there, but it worked out fine with the Proper, so not to worry. Now, with the recent update, they have now fixed the Vault bug, where we get knocked over, which is very nice. So we can go for a bit more tightly timed shots, which is good. And since I am now using Ciphers, I can go ahead and collect 2 lures very quickly now, without really having to wait, which is just great. There we go. And then we can hold these 2 lures where the Eidolon is going to end up now. Reproc our Eclipse right here. And we've got Void Strike for the last limb. Like so. Then we're going to want to go around again, collect up our 5 extra lures, and since we are using ciphers, we can do this extremely quickly now. In fact, if you do have like too much time here, what you can do is you can just hover about, see if you can find yourselves some extra Vonvalists while the Eidolon is still down. Don't think we're going to here, so we'll just end up back at the Eidolon. Get our abilities ready for when he stands up. You can see in the top right corner there, I've got my Molt Vigor ready, sorry. And then when these are charged, we'll come and pick them up. Get our Knell out. And we're going to fly over and start pre-shielding. Now, one thing has changed, which is the spot for your pre-shield on long. You can no longer do the one that I showed previously. That is now out of range of the Eidolon's hitbox. So you need to come to the bottom of this little rock here. Place your shield facing into the floor right there. And we're going to come ahead and place our shard in the shrine. Close left spawn. There we go. Strip the armor. Proc abilities. Place shields. And yeah, we just go back and forth now, guys. So I think what I'll do is I might just shut up now and just finish out the run. You guys can obviously watch along. And then we'll round out the video at the end. Alright guys, so that hunt came in at a very reasonable 656. Very low 656, I should say. And there were quite a few mistakes littered about. I will leave a link to that particular run down in the description below. It was just one run that night, just to obviously get something filmed for this video. So yeah, you guys can go and have a look at the limb timings, water shields, all that good stuff. I'll put it down in the description below. But yeah, just a couple disclaimers before we round out the video. The first one is, as I mentioned, the hitbox of the Eidolons have changed. So that's why we needed to place a different shield for long spawn. Now, to accommodate this, you kind of want to position your Vault shields a bit closer to the Eidolon. You may have noticed on the first Gantulyst shield after I stopped talking, we were slightly too far back, and therefore the damage fall off from the Proper prevented us from getting an instant shield kill on the Gantulyst. You should, with the Duviri intrinsics, be able to one-shot the Gantulyst shields guaranteed. So the fact that we didn't get that meant that we were too far away from the Eidolon to get a one-shot on the shield. So that's something to note. Another quick disclaimer as well is that I use no macros for these runs whatsoever. If you do want to learn about macros and how you can use them in your hunts, then I'm afraid you'll have to go and look elsewhere. On this particular account, I am I am avoiding using all third-party software, including macros. So yeah, if you do want to learn more about macros, then you can go and have a look at those in other guide videos. There are plenty of videos on YouTube for Eidolon hunts that use macros, and I'm sure those people will be more than happy to help you out if you are interested in using them. But yeah, that's kind of it, guys, in terms of what's occurred after Duviri with Eidolon hunting. I will also leave a link down in the description to an overframe page for my builds. And you guys can obviously go and have a look at those in a bit more detail there if you don't want to just watch this video back over and over again. So yeah, other than that, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one, guys. I'll see you later.